Twitter is getting a considerable amount of criticism because they have agreed to censor certain tweets that countries do not agree with. So now there are two different camps when it comes to this Twitter debate, right? Now, the reason why Twitter wants to give in to a country's demands is because they want to make sure that Twitter is available to everyone in that country. So if the government of a certain country is like, hey, we don't like these tweets that make us look bad, Twitter will try really hard not to censor that person or delete that tweet, but if it comes to it, they will have to do it, right? And the reason why they do it is because they want everyone in that country to have access to it. Now, let me tell you what the criticisms are. Of course, people are saying this is censorship. I mean, if you look at the case of Egypt, social networks like Facebook and Twitter were so essential in mobilizing people and letting them know about this revolution, right? And if you take that away, if you give a country the ability to control and manipulate Twitter like that, how are you going to be able to utilize these social networks for a social movement?
Right. Well, look, so this is a tough situation because whenever an industry or a particular company like Twitter matures enough that they become a giant institution, then the governments have leverage over them, right? And it can start to influence them more. Say, look, do you want to be in China? If you want, we can just cut off your access to over 1 billion customers. Are you interested? Oh, you do want to be in China. Now you got to play ball. And you got to let us censor every once in a while, right? And what are you going to do? And you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you're not allowed in China, then it can't help the revolution in China anyway because you're not allowed in the country, right? And that allows executives to easily make the decision of like, well, it was the best case scenario. We couldn't do anything. Now, could they? I don't know. And I'm not saying they made the wrong decision, right? Because it is tough.
It is tough. And look, you have to take your own emotions out of it, which is difficult for me to do because, when you see how successful Egypt was using Twitter and Facebook, you don't want those websites to be censored in any way, shape, or form. But also, you got to keep in mind that Twitter is not a political action committee. It's a business. And they're doing what's right for their business, right? And I know that they're going to get criticism for this, but what's better, to have an entire country ban you or still be available to the people of that country? And as Steve mentioned, and I think this is a great point, if they do want to mobilize people for some sort of social movement, maybe they can find a way to do it in code.
That's interesting.
That's a possibility. But
it's a possibility. And also, if I understand it right, they'll still be able to send the message in a way that people in other countries can see. So
you are right about that.
Right.
So when those tweets are censored, they're only censored in the country that is calling for that censorship, right? But other people in other countries can still see that tweet.
So we can at least get news out of places like Iran when there was the uprising in Iran after the elections, out of Iran, as we did, right? And we can still get news from Egypt during their uprising. So it's a real mixed bag here, and obviously we hate the censorship whenever any country does it. And look, unfortunately, when a company gets this large, the governments are going to catch up to it. When you have newer companies, smaller companies, it's harder for the government to keep track of all of them and be able to effectively manipulate them, shut them down, etc. But with Twitter, it's gotten to this point, for better or for worse.